All right, so I'm going to be real here. This slate of games on week 3 here in college football is quite the drop off from week 2. I mean, it's like going from listening to Getting Jiggy with It by Will Smith to Fix You by Coldplay. I mean, it's quite the dramatic letdown. We're going from Alabama and Texas, Oregon, Texas Tech, Colorado, Nebraska, Texas A&M, Miami to you know, Ohio State and Western Kentucky. And I kind of put that on the NCAA too. I mean, week 3, it seems to be a trend. A lot of seasons, when it comes to entertaining games, they're very sparse and hard to come by. And I think it's an opportunity to have some very captivating games. Like that Texas Alabama matchup, or that Notre Dame Georgia matchup we had a couple years ago, or Oregon Clemson, Florida State Michigan. Something cool, something attractive. Just not Oklahoma against Colorado States. Like we don't need that. I want blue blood against blue blood, elite program against elite program. There's plenty of opportunities to do that. So with all of that said, I want to say I'm only going to talk about one game this week. I'm only going to dissect one game, make one prediction this week, and I decided on Georgia and South Carolina for that game because oddly enough, even though Georgia is defending two-time national champions, I started this channel back in March, and I get to talk about the Bulldogs. And honestly, that's pathetic. And I hold myself accountable for that because I should be talking about a team that has won 2 straight national championships. But today, I make it up to Bulldog Nation, and I'm going to talk about their game. So it's the first SEC on CBS game of the year. I love the SEC and CBS. If you know me well, you know that theme song is my favorite song. It's not an actual song by a band. That's my favorite song, the SEC and CBS theme song. I can't wait to see the intro in the game this Saturday. It'll be a great production. But the on-field product, let's talk about that. Georgia has, believe it or not, a 91.8% chance to win this game against, I'd say, is a formidable SEC opponent. They're 27.5-point favorites. I think South Carolina is better than that, to be honest. Even though they have struggled, I think South Carolina is better than that. They are an SEC opponent, but Georgia is also fantastic too. But Georgia will be facing hurdles this year as well, which I'll get into. South Carolina, they struggled against Furman in the first half last week. They're a team that their first 2 weeks they've been struggling to muster up some momentum to get in rhythm. And it's going into the hedges. I don't know if it's a great opportunity to do that either. But their offensive line has really underperformed. I mean, the amount of pressure that Spencer Rattler was under against North Carolina week 1, that's just inexcusable. That can't happen. And you can't be struggling with Furman through a half. That's blatantly inexcusable. But when it comes to an offensive line, I remember talking to somebody a few years ago who played offensive line in high school, and they really put into perspective for me. It's a unit. It's a team. Like any team has to be cohesive, and it takes time for that to happen. And I feel like South Carolina's offensive line, like we've seen a lot of struggling, ailing offensive line play in college football recently, and it seems to happen early in the season because an offensive line, just like any unit, they have to get on the same page. And again, I don't think between the hedges is a great opportunity to do that, but nonetheless, I think that offensive line will get better through time. This weekend, this is Georgia's first considerable challenge of the year. And there's been a lot of people that say that Georgia has a vanilla schedule this year. I think that compared to other high-powered elite teams, it is. But I think Georgia will be challenged at points this year. And I think that they may indeed drop a game at some point this year because You're trying to three-peat, which is extremely challenging. You're battling complacency. You're battling that disease of me, as Pat Riley outlined in his great book, The Winner Within. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it yet. It's one of the best I've read. There's so many factors when you're trying to win 3 in a row that you have to battle. And it can sometimes slow down and limit your performance. And Georgia will be challenged at some point this year, just like Alabama was back in 2021, trying to rebound, trying to build off that 2020 national championship, which set the bar quite high. Like you'd think Ole Miss is going to be the challenge. It wasn't. It ended up being Texas A&M the following week. I don't think that South Carolina is going to be the team that knocks off Georgia this year. I just don't see it. I think that South Carolina has a lot of work, a lot of improvements, renovation, facelifting to do in these next couple weeks, and they're not quite there. This is Carson Beck's first real challenge too, and it's tough to really evaluate this Georgia team, just because they played UT Martin and Ball State, so you can't really assess them too much yet. But I think that they're still in a really opportunistic position to win this game convincingly against South Carolina this week. I'm going with the Bulldogs. Let's think about this one. 42-17. Final score. I think they win this one convincingly. They're in Stanford Stadium. They've got that home crowd behind them. And I think they will go to 3-0. But there will be a point this season where Georgia will be challenged. Will they miss the SEC championship? Will they miss the playoff? I don't think so. But it is to sustain a win streak like that and to three-peat is incredibly challenging. And South Carolina, I think, just like last year, their schedule is so challenging. Like it's brutal. That two of their first 3 weeks, two of their first 3 games start with ranked opponents, and there's many more to come on their schedule. If there's one team in college football I feel bad for, that I have sympathy for with their schedule this year, it's South Carolina, because they are composed of very talented players, and the team has a lot of potential. It's so challenging to gain traction, to go off the ground when you have a schedule that challenging. So I think they'll find their rhythm eventually, but this is just not the week for it. I'm taking Georgia 42-17 on SEC on CBS. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you and the time that you took out of your day to watch the video. And if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like the video and share it, as well as subscribe to The Era. The more likes and subscribers I get on this channel, the more resources I can attain, and the more resources I can attain, the more value I can provide to you, the viewer. And that is how I show my appreciation for you for the time that you devote to watching my videos. So thank you so much, and have a great day.